course, I believe that every moment has a message for us. And, when Alyssa was singing, I'm just recognizing and realizing that undifferentiated potential in each of us, that hero that's calling us to come forward and be present and to live fully. And really remembering Joseph Campbell and his journey of, studying cultures and societies and different archetypes of people, and coming up with the commonality that within each and every one of them, no matter where they were or what they were doing, there was a calling them to something more, calling them to a greatness. And we know that in the mind of God there is no size, so our greatness can be with one person sharing peace and love and light and support. It can be with a whole bunch of people giving a message of joy and goodness and possibility, or awakening people's minds or hearts. It doesn't matter. But there is a hero in everyone that's waiting to be called on. And I believe the message for today is about how we awaken that hero within us. And then we have the beautiful choir singing my favorite message, my favorite prayer from St. Francis of Assisi. And he's actually one of the mystics, the masters, the heroes that we have a statue of him on our porch. And I'm reminded daily, many times a day, of the beauty he brought to the world. And he simply said, make me an instrument. And isn't that really the calling for each of us? To be open, present, and available to the good that is always at hand. So I don't know, truly, what brought each one of you here today. I adore and love this community. And I know our beautiful choirs here to be in service, to share, their strong intention and their work under the gift and tutelage of Reverend Kirk, wherever. I never know where you just, you pop around. But just to share their gift and be present. And the teens are here in service on the 5th Sunday. To show their gift, to share their light. Hopefully some of you come for spiritual inspiration, I hope. I do know some people do come for free coffee and cookies. That is true. But whatever you're here for, I know that I set my intention on Sunday mornings before classes. Whenever I know that we're going to be together in spiritual communion. Ernest Holmes said throughout his Science of Mind textbook, teach, practice, practice, teach. And I believe we're all doing that together at the same time. There's not one person doing one or the other. I know when I lead or facilitate or teach a class, I'm learning as much, sometimes much more, than I have to share. And I believe the same here on Sunday. It's our energy that we're here to either, if we're feeling really pumped up and uplifted, then we can support others. And if we're feeling kind of down and draggy, we get to feel the love and support of the community. But my intention for this Sunday, and I was reminded about this from my daughter. We were sitting together and she had just done a permaculture class about the earth, and we were talking about the different things happening on the earth right now, the climate changes and different things and flooding. And she said, Mom, we as human beings are more capable and resilient than we can even imagine. If we just step into that consciousness, I'm listening to her, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Just step into that. We could handle all these problems. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to own that for me right now. And so my message and my intention for us is to leave here claiming more of our capability and resilience than ever before. To not let things pull us down without really having the tools to know how to pop right back up. Because we can step into the collective consciousness of worry and fear and unworthiness and not enoughness and insufficiency and scarcity and lack. We can step into it or not. And when we get into it, that's the last message. The message, you remember the last word in the title? Leap. We want to leap out of that so we get back in the resonance of the potential that's present. So that's why we start with be fully present in this moment. Now, this idea isn't new. This is not new. Let's go back 3,000 years to a Sanskrit poem. Each today well lived, makes yesterday a dream of happiness, and each tomorrow a vision of hope, a vision of hope. Look therefore to this day, for it and it alone is life. 3,000 years ago. We could fast forward through all the mystical teachings of all time, and let's pop forward to the 20th century with the Transcendentalists and Henry David Thoreau, and he said, you must live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave and find eternity in every moment. So this is not new, because the mystics understood that we are made, as I said, of undifferentiated potential. And it's in the present moment, when we're fully present, not tangled up in the past or tied up in the future, but fully present in this moment, that we hit and reach unlimited opportunities. When we tap into that unlimited potential, where we find creativity, inspiration, love, joy, possibility. We find that when we're fully available to all that is right here and right now, when we're available. Now, I know some of you are thinking, really, that you have to stay back on the past because there's a lot to be healed back there, right? And so you want to be on that little obsessive merry-go-round to keep repeating it so you don't forget it? Give me a break. Here's what I know about life from my own personal experience. Life does not, well, let me put it in a more positive way. Life is about wholeness. It wants us to be whole and healed. So it's going to remind you in any moment what needs to be healed at that time. Are you with me on that? It's there. It's going to get you. You don't have to be on that merry-go-round, because you're going to get, I'll tell you what, nowhere. We've got to get off the merry-go-round of that obsessive thinking. And to be fully present, we have to enter the moment with untangled willingness to participate. Breathe. And forgive yourself. Because it's not about what happened in the past, because you know what? Where does the past live? Or it lives right here, because we can keep it with us, but it's done. We can learn and grow in this moment. So leave the past in the past. And if we're fully present and available and do our part in the present, whatever future there is, we got it made. Just listen to our songs. So beautiful. I think the problem that I find is a lot of us are a little bit diluted. We get diluted because we're not completely present with what is. Pema Chodron, in her book, Living Beautifully, says, be fully present to what you're feeling now. Fully present to what you're feeling now, without labeling it as good or bad. Be fully present to it. It's just what it is. Feelings come and go. And if we could stop fighting that and just be present and recognize that everything has a message, then we won't delude ourselves by being not fully present right here. We have another problem of being fully present, and it might, in fact, it's a couple of P's that keep us not present. There's another P, isn't that interesting? But when we want perfectionism, and we'll say, now how many of you say this? Well, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'll be a little more prepared tomorrow. I'll be a little happier, healthier, more fit. Tomorrow's really a better day. Tomorrow never comes. It isn't a better day. This is the day. We can't procrastinate and put things off until. What if the farmer kept the seed in her hand and kept saying, tomorrow's going to be a better day. I'll plant it tomorrow. we'd all go hungry. We have to do today what today is calling to be done. So perfectionism for the perfect and right time, when is it? Thank you. I love that. The other problem is we deny the good that's present because we just procrastinate. And it's not because of perfectionism. It's the procrastination of just, I don't want to. I just don't. Even though you know, because if you're doing your meditation and your prayer and you know today's the day, but you push it off till tomorrow. Isn't the TV much more interesting than having to do that? Today is the day. So be fully present. And that means untangle yourself so you can fully participate. Be present to what is. And know that now is the time, because now is the only time there is. But don't worry if you haven't been so good so far, okay? Because we're very forgiving. I want to read to you right from our Science of Mind textbook. The only thing we can really change doesn't really happen. Yes, it happens out here. But where change happens is right here in our consciousness. And so here's the quote from, I love this, from our Science of Mind textbook. The problems of the past and the worries of the future are swallowed up in the victory of the perfect present. Don't you love that? The perfect present. What's that? What is the perfect present? Do you know what it is? Put your hand right here. Because that's where feel the heart comes from. The perfect present comes from that place where, our mind is beautiful to analyze and rationalize, but in the heart is where we find faith and love. Because we can't see faith, we can't see love, but we know it in our hearts. So when it says feel your heart, it's the place where we know, oh my gosh, I have faith in who I am, because I am made in the image and likeness of, you fill in the blanks, beauty, joy, truth, love, whatever it is, God, spirit, universal intelligence, creative potential, whatever it is, I am made in the image and likeness of that. And then when we know that we have a place in this universal plan. The most amazing and important thing that you and I can realize ever is the omnipresence of spirit. That spirit is everywhere present, always. We cannot be separated from that which created us. Wow, we can't be separate from that. It's impossible. The only variable in that equation, is what we think about it. We get to choose. We have free will. If we want to think we're separate, we can think it. Is it true? No, because there's only one energy of life that's ever unfolding and expressing. So if we want to be in the perfect present, it's recognizing and knowing who we are and our place in the universe. Albert Einstein said one of my favorite quotes, which I think he said, this one question will decide your entire experience of life. Do you believe we live in a friendly universe or not? That one question is going to decide everything. When we know that life is always conspiring for our good. Last week I talked a lot about our good is ever present, but we have to participate with it. It's always there. But if we push it away, if we don't get involved with it, then we're not going to learn. So the true lesson for me is that the change comes from within. It doesn't happen out there. And I shared with First Service, I had a really interesting experience this morning because I really feel that life is always giving us messages. Let me roll the days back a little bit. On Tuesday evening, our practitioner interns took their final exam, their licensing exam, to be practitioners. And I'll tell you what happened. We heard, which I haven't heard this before here, crows flying everywhere. And in fact, a crow stood right on that skylight. We could see it, and it just stayed there. And thank goodness that Barbara Taylor, our practitioner and resident shaman, was explaining crow energy and how the crows are here to support strong intention and to support people on their journey. They're also a little bit of tricksters, but they're here to support that. So this morning, Kirk had left, and I was getting ready, and our larger dog was having a fit, and I went and looked, and there was a coyote literally standing right in front of our sliding glass windows. And she was standing there just looking at our place, just looking right in the window, and just stood there and walked back and forth, and finally waited for me to sit and look back and get that communication going. And she was there and stayed there, and I had to be fully present. Of course, I was holding the dog, but I had to be fully present and listen to what she had to say. She was beautiful, and I just really wanted to go out and spend some time with her. She was so pretty, and she's a little hungry, and I wanted to go feed her, but I knew that wasn't a wise idea, so we just had a great communication. And finally, she turned and left, but she got halfway out and turned back around, and it was like she said, "Now, did you hear me? You got my message, didn't you?" Well, I ran to the computer and looked up coyote energy, and the main message of that coyote is things here don't appear as they really are. What's in the outer world is not what's real. And the coyote is a trickster, and she's also a supporter to support you, but to realize you need more humor and fun and play in your life, and not to take things so seriously, but to really focus on truth. So she had a beautiful message for me that things aren't always as they appear. So for you and me to develop this consciousness of being fully present, to feel our heart, so we can live in the power and vibrancy of the perfect present, there's one thing I want you to do. Well, I already told you to feel capable and resilient, so 2 things I want you to do. I said that the most important thing we can practice is the omnipresence of spirit. Start walking and talking and seeing spirit everywhere. That's the first step of our 5-step prayer treatment. If we want to really be in alignment with our good and our undifferentiated potential and feel the calling that's there for us, we have to live in that consciousness of spirit is everywhere. Now, you don't need to worry about the 5 steps of treatment and all that beautiful, flowery, beautiful language we hear up here from our practitioners. It's beautiful and powerful, but we don't need that. We need 2 things. The first step of treatment, which is spirit is all there is. God is all there is. Love, truth, beauty, whatever is all there is. We get to personalize this potential. So however we want to call that energy is all there is. And I am one with it. When we say there is only one life, that life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. That's enough to keep us in the perfection of each and every moment if we practice that and do our part. But do our part. Ernest Holmes would always say, well, you have to treat, you have to pray and move your feet. Treat and move your feet. We're co-creators. When St. Francis says, make me an instrument, well, it doesn't mean he's not going to go out and be the peace, be the love, be the healing, be the understanding. We've got to do our part. So if we're that instrument of whatever our individual expression of that goodness is, we have to go out and do our part and take the leap. Now I want to read you a poem, a very short poem by a English poet of the 20th century. It says, "Come to the edge," he said. "We might fall," they said. "Come to the edge," he said. "It's too high," they said. "Come to the edge," he said. Actually, this is in big print. So Spirit speaks a little louder when we're not listening. "Come to the edge," he said. They came, he pushed, they flew. Life is always working for us. When we're ready to take that leap and do our part, we have to remember that spirit, life, love is always working for us. there's not a time when this beautiful thing called life isn't working with us. You and I get to choose how we're going to show up, how we're going to be present, how we're going to use the energy, the calling in our heart, and how we're going to take the leap into making this world, our life, one person, whatever it is, uplift it, move it. The true, how many of you are willing to do the little prayer every day? Okay, lots of times a day? Okay, because the true purpose of prayer, is not to make things happen. It's to recognize our relationship to Spirit, to God. That's why we're to pray, to recognize and know that we are one with all that is. To recognize that and know it. That prayer is not about just mechanical recitation, but about a mystical experience. And in closing, I'd just like to remind you, do you agree that we live in this infinite energy of good? Yes. Okay, good. And that Spirit, God, only knows 2 words. Are you ready for those words? The first one is yes. What's the first word? Yes. So whatever you're putting out there with your consciousness, your energy, what's the answer? Yes. I'm perfect. Yes. I'm not. Don't answer. Okay. But just an example. So being in that energy to recognize and know that, the other answer is let it be so. So if we pray, we know into this infinite mind of God, this universal intelligence that knows only to say yes, and then let it be. We live in that possibility all the time. So we're going to pray while our beautiful gratitude choir comes up, and they're going to close us in prayer today. But I'm just going to invite you to do what I say every Sunday. Untangle yourselves. Be open and available. Be fully present to the vibrancy of this moment. Be fully present right now to the allness of Spirit that resides right here and right now. I simply invite us as we open and become available to that presence that is here and everywhere always, that we recognize and claim our oneness with this potential, this love, this light, this goodness that is ours. And as we stand here, I know, or sit here, or are here in this energy, this potential of goodness, I know for each person here, they are open to the calling that speaks through them. The calling to grow, become in this energy of wholeness, to be ignited in the light, be ignited in the creative energy that we are. I simply know for each and every person here that they are willing in this moment, as they're fully present and available to all that is, as they feel the energy from the inside out, they're willing to take a leap into the next step of their goodness, because nothing can stop them now. They feel the push of Spirit as they're lifted and guided into the moreness of life, into the allness and vibrancy of livingness. I truly know for all of us here together that we are united because we have the consciousness of love and goodness and potential and integrity and honesty right here, overflowing from us in this moment. And because we are, we make a difference. I know that we accept our capability, our resilience, and our allness right here, right now. And in that knowing, I simply release these words right here, right now, into the universal law of mind that only knows to respond with a magnificent yes. We are fulfilled. Nothing can stop us. We give thanks. And it is together we say, and so it is. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.